Welcome again. One of our team members has an interview around NERC CIP, so we just want to quickly support him. We'll be straight to the point. What is NERC CIP? Let's keep it simple. Anytime you hear the word NERC, it's mostly a regulatory authority focused on making sure we have efficient reduction of risk to reliability and security of power grid. Okay, so anytime you hear NERC CIP, it's mostly around the power grid. And if you understand about the NERC CIP, it means North America Electric Reliability Corporation. It's one of our critical infrastructure protection program to ensure anything tied critical infrastructure, specifically around electric companies, utility companies. It's a big deal. You will hear things like BES, bulk electric system in North America. So think about it this way: power grid. How do we protect those infrastructure? As simple as that. Think about power grid immediately when you hear of NERC CIP, okay? It's not optional. You have to be in compliance. Every year, the government would track and keep track of you. I think, if I recollect, 12 or 18 months, I don't recollect now, but we can double check. There are some standards involved, that covers things like ensuring sabotaging, reporting, asset identification, the security controls around security, electronic security perimeters within the facility itself, then the management of system security in general within NERC CIP. All right, so let me quickly jump to the one that really concerned you for your interview. We'll get there in a bit. Let me jump to that straight up. These are the key controls. These are the ones I want you to focus on. So print this out. This is what you need to think about. From your NIST and ISO framework, these are similar models. So I'll go to the specific control for each one of them. Let's take first one. First one is talking about asset identification and classification, right? So I would expect you to print this out and just talk in general around it. So if you ask me, I'll say, well, within NERC CIP, some key security controls are reviewed, include things like facility classification, asset identification, inventory approval in general, right? That will be an example of what I'll cover there. Then I'll get into policy and governance. I'll just give an example of general policy and governance too. That is CIP 003 control. For CIP 004, this is more around security awareness, meaning anyone coming to the facility, you want to make sure they have the appropriate security control in place, right? The background check, the training, the access review in general also. The other thing we're going to think about is network security, right? Within the network in NERC CIP, the infrastructure, what is the security around the network itself? How do people get access remotely to the facility? Those are things we check also. Physical security, it's a no-brainer. There's appropriate physical security plans. There's appropriate monitoring within the security environment. Then general system security controls would be like patch management. If there's a patch for any of the facility, how do they manage those patches? What about management of ports and services, malware prevention, monitoring of the events, monitoring of credentials and shared account within the business also? Those are some popular things we need to take a look at. Other thing is recovery, incident response plan. Do we have a plan for incident response? Do we have a recovery plan? Do we have backup and recovery strategy? What about change management and vulnerability management? Do we constantly track changes in configuration in the system? Do we track changes in terms of vulnerability scanning of the system? Those are some key controls from a CIP 10 point of view. So I want you to focus your conversation around these controls because these are the key controls really that they're looking for. Now, this gets into the details. So now let me go back to your actual role so that you can see it. So let's take the first one. Once I take it, I will highlight it. It says, act as the voice of enterprise security and security department. So you acting as the voice means you have to be able to talk about those controls I just shared. And Terry, you have access to that document, print it out. That's your talking point. Those controls are your key talking point. Look at what it says. Assist cyber team with any investigation related with infrastructure team. So anything that has to do with researching and following up on any major incident or remediation, we can always keep track of it and follow up with that one too. Participate in development of satisfactory recovery practice as well as disaster recovery planning and testing. So this, you're not the one leading it, but you're participating. So if you look at this control, you will see we have backup here. Let's go back to. So what I want you to do here is when we get to the backup, just read it up. Look at it here. This is recovery here, right? So look at what I want you to talk about. In that case, just talk about, you perform recovery process. These are the steps I would expect you to just talk about around that. If that makes sense, give me thumbs up, Terry. Let me pause if you have questions. If it makes sense, give me thumbs up. Let me unmute you. So far, does it make sense?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Let's continue. All right. Look at the next one. Support NERC CIP and compliance and ensure electronic and physical security are followed. That is simple also. For that one, man, you have a cheat sheet there, bro. Okay, security. This is all you're doing here. This is the physical security. Can you see? Yep. I've made your life easy, bro. Just come here, talk about physical security. This is what you need to talk about there for physical security. And that simply means, do they have a security plan? Do they have a visitor control process whereby there's a visitor log they sign and visitors are escorted? Do they constantly do testing of their program, like their physical security parameters? Every 2 years is expected to be tested. Are they doing that? So that's what that is saying. Let's come back here. Effectively communicate with clients and management blame appropriately. Blah, blah, blah. This is just to say, well, we need to communicate our report and our findings to the leadership. Maybe assign an electric utility emergency storm role. This is special for blah, blah, blah. So mostly, this is something that when you do disaster recovery, right? Sometimes they might assign you the role to help them to, in case of an emergency, to restore power. And it might be after hours for recovery. So I'll go to recovery here, and anybody can be assigned that role. So I think it's something we should be proud to say, well, yeah, absolutely. Even if you've never been assigned it, it's a good opportunity to kind of be part of such a thing. And if there's an incident and you want to help your company to recover, let me find an example here for you to see. If you look at incident response, let's go back here. Yeah, this is a good one. So you can talk about incident response and reporting in general here. This is a good one to talk about here. There should be an incident response plan in general, and we should be able to recover if there was a need to. All right. So let's see. Let's see what else we have here. Let's go back to that role real quick. All positions in which driving is an essential function of the job. Well, I'm sure you have driver's license, so that is easy. The company reserves the right to determine the position is, well, I'm sorry, but this is just saying you might occasionally be asked to, if I understand well, this is a remote work, right, bro? Is that right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, it should be a remote work. Okay. All right. Any question? But that's really the summary. All these pages I highlighted, just go, I'll send this to you one-on-one. Go and explore those pages as good, those ones in yellow. There are areas I think you can streamline and just get ready to print them out if you have a printer or whatever, and use it as a talking point and go get the job, bro. Any question?
No, I'm good.
All right, cool. Good luck, and thanks everybody else for joining and hanging out. I recorded it. I'll send it to the larger group. Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Thank you.